Right, so you're welcome back. This is a pause here on Joy News. Now, let's do some court stories. Now, lawyers for the Member of Parliament for North Town in the voter region, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, they've objected to a newly constituted panel hearing a contempt case brought by the Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, Reverend Kwesi Boateng. The Court of Appeal was expected to deliver a ruling on the defamation suit filed by Reverend Kwesi Boateng aimed at restraining the MP from discussing any matter that links him to the National Cathedral. So today was supposed to be the ruling, but there was drama in court, and for that reason, the ruling could not come on. And this will be the third time Reverend Kwesi Boateng is hoping to get favorable response from the court. So what happened in court today? My colleague Latif Idris was in court for us. Perhaps provide some background to the story. Okay. Why is there a contempt hanging around the neck of Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa?
Okay, so and it goes way back to this whole National Cathedral issue. We know what Okudzeto Ablakwa has been up to with regards to Reverend Kwesi Boateng. He's made allegations of conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. He said he's going to go to Shraj. And so he's been talking about Reverend Kwesi Boateng within the media space about the National Cathedral, putting Reverend Kwesi Boateng in a bad light. That
he goes with two different identities.
Different identities.
And it's not clear which one is his real identity.
And he's engaging in some criminal activities as well. So these are some of the comments by the Member of Parliament for North Town. Reverend Kwesi Boateng is not happy with that. Mm-hmm. So he started off by seeking the court to restrain Mr. Ablakwa from making comments with regards to him and the National Cathedral. First, he started with the Human Rights Court to restrain the Member of Parliament from speaking about him vis-a-vis the National Cathedral. The Human Rights Court dismissed that application, that contempt application filed by Reverend Kwesi Boateng. And then that didn't stop him. He went to the High Court.
Seeking the same relief.
The same relief. It was dismissed yet again. Where else does he have to go? Now he has to go to the Court of Appeal. And that is why he is at the Court of Appeal. Now, when Reverend Kwesi Boateng went to the Court of Appeal, the Member of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, has also followed him there to file a counter application asking the Court of Appeal to strike out whatever reliefs he's asking the court to grant him. So we have these two cases at the same Court of Appeal. Today, the court was expected to make a ruling on Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa's application against Reverend Kwesi Boateng's. Before the panel came up to sit, there was a case prior. So there was a panel that was constituted to hear that particular
in the same
case.
courtroom?
The same courtroom. And in fact, that case couldn't progress because the legal team and the parties were absent. On that panel, we had Justice Gyamfi. He was the presiding judge on the panel. They called the case, no parties available, no counsel. So they said, okay, the case is now over. And before he rose, Justice Gyamfi said, okay, we are rising for this particular case. I'll be back in 3 minutes for the next.
And the
next case was the contempt case
filed by Reverend Kwesi Boateng against Okudzeto Ablakwa.
Exactly. So they rose, went in there. So this was even less than 3 minutes. He said 3 minutes, but it was less than that. Then within 2 minutes or less than that, court rise, everybody rose, expecting that
Justice Gyamfi would lead his colleagues to hear this case.
Exactly.
And then he was absent.
So immediately the panel sat. Lawyer for the Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, Thaddeus Osoro, rose and said they have an objection to the panel that has been constituted. And he made a legal argument to that effect and some allegations which he couldn't prove in court. That, per the practice and what he has known practicing law for so many years, once a Chief Justice constitutes a panel, that panel sees through the life of the case.
Right.
And so for
him...
That
is his understanding.
Exactly. So for him, it is alien to see
a new panel
in
the middle of a case.
In the middle of a case, less than 3 minutes, when the presiding judge of that panel had told open court that he is going to return to sit on that case, and then the panel comes in and it's not on the panel. The argument by Thaddeus Sori is that they suspect foul play because, according to Thaddeus Sori, the Chief Justice is a church member of Reverend Kusi Boateng. And so...
And what has this got to do with a case of contempt in a court of law? It is a responsibility of the Chief Justice to empanel judges to every case.
Exactly. We've also heard some legal argument by some lawyers but we don't want to go there. So that is what he said, that because the Chief Justice is a church member of Reverend Kusi Boateng, this panel that has been reconstituted has been done to deny Okudzeto Ablakwa of
fair hearing. And he said it's in open court.
In open court. And that the judge the High Court judge who dismissed Reverend Kusi Boateng's application at the High Court, since that ruling by that judge has been transferred from Accra to Sunyani, then from Sunyani to Bolga. In his mind, he sees this as
punishment
for that ruling against Reverend Kusi Boateng. And so this is also similar to that. He's trying to draw that comparison between...
And was there a response from the bench or
there was a response from both sides, from the bench and also from counsel for Reverend Kusi Boateng. So from the bench, they had to intervene quickly, and one of the panel members made it clear to Thaddeus Sori what he's doing, and I want to quote him, quote and unquote, speculative innuendo, and that he doesn't have any
evidence
to support the claim that the panel has been reconstituted because they are trying to deny Okudzeto Ablakwa of fair hearing. Then Bobby Banson, who is representing Reverend Kusi Boateng, also rose and made the argument that what Thaddeus Sori was saying is not grounded in law and that is just hearsay, and so the court should disregard that application or that objection. The court conferred for about a minute or less, and then when they came back, they said they are going to pass a ruling on that objection.
You're right.
And then based on that, so now that objection is to whether the panel, they have the constitutional, it is constitutional for the panel to be reconstituted or not. If it turns out that they are not allowed to do so, it means it will be dissolved and a new panel will be constituted. That will be reinstating the previous panel. Or this panel will stay and then they will go ahead and hear Okudzeto Ablakwa's application for the court to strike out Reverend Kusi Boateng's application
for contempt.
Yeah.
And you spoke to Okudzeto Ablakwa after today's sitting?
Yeah. And he was very brief, and that was an advice given to him by his lawyers that he shouldn't go into details, but he told the journalists that they would only speak after tomorrow's ruling and make public what they have discovered as far as this particular application by Reverend Kusi Boateng at the Court of Appeal is concerned. What they have discovered. We don't know what they've discovered, but he said they are going to make it public after tomorrow's ruling by the Court of Appeal.
All right. Lateef, thank you very much for those details from the court today. So we'll wait for the decision of the court. But let me take you to the presidency. The presidency, President Akufo-Addo has announced a resumption of stalled projects nationwide following a $4.7 billion debt cancellation from the Eurobond restructuring deal. Government agreed in principle with two bondholders group to restructure around $13 billion of its debt, making it the second African country this month to reach the final stages of a debt overhaul. The agreement will see Ghana witness a cash flow relief of about $4.4 billion until 2026 when the current International Monetary Fund program ends. Speaking at the Jubilee House, President Akufo-Addo says the deal shows renewed confidence in the Ghanaian economy.
If you will recall, I did say at the height of the pandemic that we knew how to bring the economy back to life, but did not know how to bring people back to life. This remark was made to justify the extraordinary expenditures the government was forced to make during the pandemic to afford relief and protection to the population. I believe in all humility that the nation is today appreciative of the validity of my statement as our economic recovery is strongly on course. In the first quarter of this year, the economy grew at 4.7%, much higher than the 3.1% forecast by the IMF, led by growth in the real sectors of the economy, the industrial sector by 6.8%, and the agricultural sector by 4.1%. As you are aware, government has also embarked on an ambitious debt restructuring process as part of its attempts to reduce its indebtedness to sustainable levels. Thirdly, commercial bondholders' debt restructuring. Today, government and representative of our commercial bondholders announced a major breakthrough in our negotiations with them. An agreement has been struck over the restructuring of $13.1 billion United States dollars of value of debts. The agreement will result in significant savings to the government. The savings include the cancellation of $4.7 billion United States dollars, or 65 billion cedis, of the debt stock. In addition to the stock decrease, Ghana will save 4.4 billion United States dollars, or some 60 billion cedis, in debt service.
So that's President Akufo-Addo. Then he was speaking during the swearing in of some new ambassadors for the country.